Good morning and happy Saturday, tribe. This is a very special day for Coffee with Kelly. I don't even know what to say, but I'm so excited. Are you excited,
John?
John?
Very, very. I mean, who wouldn't be excited having coffee with Kelly? I mean, hello, this is my highlight. I mean, and I don't even drink coffee. You don't have coffee in yours either, do you?
I actually have some water today. I'm not gonna lie.
It's. I love this. It's leadership caffeine.
It's leadership caffeine, and we are here in the virtual coffee
I
shop.
have water in mine. I don't have any coffee at all. I just want you to know that she didn't give me coffee.
Oh my God! As you can tell,
Good to the last drop.
That's right. We're at Maxwell House Coffee today. It's the Maxwell House. That's right. In the studio with John C. Maxwell himself. So good morning, Coffee with Kelly tribe. I am seeing all of your beautiful faces. John, look at all these beautiful faces.
Yeah, I see them.
We have over 130 people joining us. And John, they're from all over the world.
That's wonderful.
Coffee with Kelly has a tribe that is from all over the world. I know we have people from Africa, Nigeria. We have people from Denver, Colorado, California, Atlanta, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York City. I mean, John, look at this. They're all
The whole
here.
world.
The whole
world is having
here.
Coffee with Kelly.
Is here. Coffee with Kelly and John today. So we've got a really special show planned for you today. And just a little context for John. We started Coffee with Kelly 1 year ago, a little over a year ago, March 23rd, right when we went on lockdown.
Sure.
And it was just a concept that I wanted to start when we went on lockdown and people were just nervous and looking for hope and just encouragement. And so I don't know anything about Zoom. I'm technology challenged, I would say.
That's two of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
And so just thought I'd start a little virtual coffee shop and open it up for people that wanted to come together and just encourage each other and find hope in a dark time. And there were 6 people on our first call.
That's beautiful.
6 people.
Including you?
Including me.
There you go. 6
and
people.
A year later, look at what we have that has come in to join us today for special Coffee with Kelly.
You know, and Kelly, the lesson that she just gave you when she said that the first time there are only 6, including her, is you always start small. And people say, well, how did you get so big? I started small. And if you don't start small, you don't start. And if you don't start, you never get big. So you did it right. 6 is good. 6 is good, and 130 plus is even better. And
absolutely.
But you started small. You started with what you had, not waiting to what you wish you could have. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lesson for all of us, is just what's in your hand right now. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. And then that opens another door, and all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I was just with, I know you got an agenda, but here I go. I was just with Dan Cathy, who is the CEO of Chick-fil-A. His father, Truett Cathy, founded Chick-fil-A. And I was with him all day yesterday with my family. And we were, he was showing us Trilith, which is all his studios. All the Marvel movies are made at Trilith now in Atlanta. And he has the greatest studio complex now in the world, including Hollywood. And so we were with him, and what was interesting is he said that literally about, I think it was 2012, he had an airport hangar, and they weren't using it, and somebody wanted to do a little bit of production there and do I think some kind of a series of TV series or whatever. So he rented out half of it. And he saw the potential in movies and entertainment, and he wanted to do it with kind of a faith feel. And so anyway, it started in an airport hangar, and today all the Marvel movies in the world are made there, and the great movies. I mean, they're coming from all over. And I was yesterday with Jeff Fox, where these guys are friends. Jeff and I used to live close together when I lived in Atlanta. And then Steve Harvey, and they were doing Family Feud there.
So fun.
And I took my family, and they got to meet them all, everything. But the point that I'm making is, Kelly, he started in an airport hangar, renting it out just for one small TV series, and look where it is today. But if he wouldn't have started there, he wouldn't have had what he has today. The vision expands as we move, not as we think. And so, anyway, that's what you did with Kelly. Here we go.
Thank you. And allow me to properly introduce you, because we have some amazing people that have joined this morning that have never heard you speak live.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you've got new friends.
New audience.
Yeah, you've got a new audience, and then you've got some of your biggest fans out there as well that are part of Coffee with Kelly. But today is really special. You know how much I talk about John during the week. John, you are a topic of our conversation often.
Because we're buddies.
That's right. And John C. Maxwell, I mean, he is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest leadership influencers in our world. And I mean, Inc. magazine has coined you that. You have been awarded the Mother Teresa Global Peace Prize and Leadership. I mean, come on, I looked at that last night. Nelson Mandela was awarded that as well.
Yeah, I know.
And John, he has over 33 million books that you have sold in 50 languages. And you've taught through your companies, the John Maxwell Company, the John Maxwell Team, and Equip. You have encouraged and added value to over 6 million leaders around the globe.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about John the most is literally what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And I remember, John, go back to 2014. Go back to 2000.
Coffee is great, by the way.
And I love your humor.
Yeah.
Go back to 2014. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember this, but remember I sent you a letter?
Oh, I remember it well. Yeah, you sent a letter.
What do you remember about
Well, I
that?
remember you sent me a letter, and
Yeah.
a lot of people send me letters and you know, stuff. But in your letter, I could see that you were somebody that was very unique. And so I told my assistant, Linda, I said, I want to meet her. Mm. And so we set up our first meeting.
Do you remember when you tried to call me and you couldn't leave a message?
I couldn't leave a message?
You couldn't leave a message. And there's a joke in my tribe that when your calling comes, make sure your voicemail isn't full.
Yeah.
Because my voicemail was full.
Yeah, there was no room. There was no room in the inn. There was no room for me.
And
so I just thought, well, I'll just wait, maybe hold my hand up, and maybe someday she'll see me. She'll recognize me.
And I'm so glad you answered my letter.
Yeah,
because
it's when it started.
That's how it started, and that was almost 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing? It's been almost 7 years.
Yeah. Time goes very fast. But I think what's amazing is how well you've grown and developed. I mean, I met you then, but you're not the same person. Yeah. You're growing and learning and expanding and leading and influencing and helping people, and that makes me very proud. That's why I do. That's why I do what I do. And by the way, all the stuff that she's talking to you about that I've done, you have to understand that's not really that big of a deal. All you have to do to write 80-some books and do all that stuff, you have to be old. If you're not old, think about it. I mean, if you're not old, you can't do any of that. So I'm old. That's the bottom line there. I'm just old.
You're like a bottle of wine. You just get better as you get older.
So. I hope.
Absolutely.
I've tried that part. I hope. I'll buy that.
Absolutely. When I think about famous quotes, I've seen your quotes for years. And the one that always comes to mind is, everything rises and falls on leadership. Yes. And that's something, when we sat down for that first meal, I was so nervous. But I had my questions written out and what I wanted to ask. And I wanted to ask about that quote. And I just wanted you to share kind of how that really started your journey and what launched your passion for leadership.
Yeah. First of all, I didn't think you didn't seem nervous to me when we first met. You seemed to me very intentional, and you seemed really to me like very teachable. And so I liked you. I liked you because I felt that you were going to take our time together and maximize it. And I think that's so. One of the things I love about Kelly is whatever she takes, she does with commitment, passion. but you really grow. You don't allow yourself to stay the same, and I love that about you. And what's beautiful when you're with her on coffee with Kelly is that that'll happen to you too. You'll grow, because when you're around growing people, you grow. If when you're around stagnant people, you stay stagnant. So that was beautiful. The quote that you're talking about, everything rises and falls on leadership, was the catalytic quote, Kelly, that has me to where I am today. When I became convinced that that if you lead well, you'll succeed, and if you don't lead well, you probably won't, or at least you won't reach your potential. Then I said, okay. And then when I became convinced that you could teach people how to lead, when I knew those two things, everything rises and falls on leadership, and I can teach people how to lead. When I realized that, then I said, what a worthy endeavor to spend my whole life then teaching people how to lead so that they can do better and help more people. But that's the passion that still is within me. That light has never gone out. That would be 50 years ago, honestly, and it's never gone out. And by the way, what's really beautiful is when you start your life off with something like that and you give your life and mission to it, and then 50 years later you can say with credibility, that's true. And it's not only true, I believe it more today than I believed it when I started.
So good.
Because a lot of times we start off on something honestly, and I've had things where I start off, thought that was good, and 5 years later I was done with it. I mean, it wasn't that it wasn't even good, but it wasn't lasting, it wasn't life-changing. And so when people ask me why I write books, why I do Coffee with Kelly, why I do these things, I tell them it's because I think you have great potential. And I think that you're better than you believe you are, and I think you have more gifts than you think you do, and I think you probably have more opportunities than you probably could ever imagine. And it's kind of like I'm a lid lifter, Kelly. I say, let me see if I can just lift the lid and let you then be the person you really are. What I found is that when you just pour into people and just give them permission, the joy is watching you grow, and this lady never takes no for an answer. She's I call her salmon. She's always swimming upstream, and I can throw anything at you, and I do. One of the things I do is when you toss the ball to someone, you find out if they can catch it, and when I toss the ball to you, you catch it. And even I think back when we did, when I got ready to do Change Your World, and I called you and said, okay, Kelly, I want you to start some small groups here, and I want you to be a model for others that I can point to and say, well, look, no, this happens, you can do this. And immediately, you never hesitate. I don't think you always know how to do it, but you never hesitate in saying yes. Kelly and I have the same philosophy, and I love this about you. Basically what happens when we see an opportunity, we say yes, and then we tell the world, and then we go figure it out. And that's kind of the order, and that's what I mean, and that's the way it works, that's how do you figure it out? By trying, by getting into the arena of action. And so I love that about you. But everything rises and falls on leadership is still the foundation for everything that I do and for all the value that I try to add to people, without a doubt.
And what you just said about we just take action, that was another thing you really led me to that I really wasn't aware about myself. Is you talked to me about finding my strengths and staying in my strength zone.
Yes.
And I know we share that strength of being an activator.
Yep,
and
we're
we
activators.
just run and figure it out later. But
That's right.
You were the one that led me to finding my strengths, and that is really what was the catalyst of me falling in love with helping other people find their strengths.
Yeah, I was just doing I just had a mentoring breakfast before I came here this morning, and the person that I was mentoring asked me, he said, John, if you could just say one thing about highly successful people that make them successful, what would you say? And I said to her, without any question, highly successful people find their strengths, and then they commit to just absolutely developing their potential in that sweet spot of their life. And I think that's very true. I think it's very true of me. I think it's very true of everyone. Every one of you, all of you have a strength. Every one of you have something you do really well that's unique to you, and you need to find it. And when you find it, then you need to develop it and work it. And when you do, then all of a sudden, I think you meet with good success.
That's right. We share a couple of strengths, actually. So do you remember your top 5 off the top of your head?
Well, I'm an activator, and then I'm an achiever, and then I'm I'm woo, and I'm strategic. There's another, maximizer. I'm a maximizer.
I remember, because we share that.
Are you you're a maximizer and an activator. So those 2 of the 5 strengths we share.
Yep.
We're probably separated by birth, don't you think?
Absolutely. So I have some news for you, and let me share with you. So throughout this whole building of Coffee with Kelly and the community coming together, and literally what the framework of Coffee with Kelly is, we have 400 people now that are part of the tribe, we call it. And
that's so good.
Throughout that tribe, we start every Monday with a leadership lesson, an intention of the day, just like I learned from you, your word of the day. Sure. I'll do a quick 10-minute teaching on that lesson, and then what we'll do is we'll open up the room for everyone to come in, because you taught me that everyone has value and everyone can add value.
Yeah.
And we discuss that lesson, and then on Fridays we come back and we talk about how we applied it, how we have, possibly even failed, because you always said fail forward.
Fail forward.
And that's how we learn. But I have to tell you, and let's talk about Change Your World, because I know this is your latest book and the one you are most passionate about.
Totally.
And we have been talking about Change Your World so much throughout the tribe ever since the 5K.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, these are the people that were at the 5K.
I know.
They were there.
I recognize some of the faces.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And we have now, John, we started with one table, transformation table, back in, I believe it was March. And today we actively have 7 tables. I started the first table, and 6 of my attendees, they are now facilitating their own table.
Come on, girl.
And we have 2 more starting in a few weeks. So it's Stacy, it's Shelly, it's Ariel, it's Michelle, it's Lisa, Roberto. I mean,
beautiful.
They're multiplying. They're doing Maxwell math. And we talk to them a lot, like Maxwell math.
We love that. Yeah, I applaud that very much. Congratulations. That makes me very happy.
I knew that would make you proud. And so there are some people that are just starting to hear about Change Your World, and I was hoping maybe you can give a little context of what this book really represented. And I remember being in Paraguay with you when I experienced values tables, and it just changed my life. It was where I found significance.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so what can you share with the tribe?
I would love to do this. Can I have maybe 10 minutes?
Go for it.
Okay.
It's all yours.
If I go too long, just tap me on the shoulder and say, come on, get off. Well, first of all, the title, let's start with the title of the book. The title of the book is Change Your World. It's not called Change the World. It's Change Your World. You see, if somebody says to me, John, change the world, I'm already out. It's too big. I can't fathom that. I have to have something that I can pretty well control and do something about. And so, and the reason that I say change your world is Mother Teresa, when they asked her one time, Kelly, they asked her, how do you feed the world? Because she was known for her compassion and for her feeding. A beautiful nun in India. When they asked Mother Teresa, how do you feed the world? She said, you start with one. You start with who's beside you. You start with that person. And an interesting side note is when my son Joel was 16, he's a techie and he's very brilliant. He's very, very brilliant. In fact, I was just with him yesterday with Dan Cathy, and I took him on an experience to see his studio, and then he's I'm very proud of him. He's running for Congress now, and but anyway, he really lacked, I thought, passion for people. So Margaret and I, when he was 16, we sent him to India, and we had him stay in India on his own. Well, he had a group that he was with, but I mean, he went all by himself. He was 16. And to just a whole month in India and Calcutta, just to serve the poor. He just needed to have his heart broken. He lived in a kind of a protected, wonderful environment, and he just needed to see that that's not where the world is. But one of the things I arranged for him was I asked Mother Teresa to spend a little time with him, and she gave him some time, and his all-time favorite picture is him and Mother Teresa. So when I think of changing your world, I want you to first of all understand you start where you are. You start where you are. And the reason I'm passionate about this is because we've been doing this, Kelly, in countries, because you were talking about Paraguay. We started in Guatemala, then we went to Paraguay, then to Costa Rica. We're getting ready to go to the Dominican Republic, then we're going to go to Papua New Guinea. And we go into these countries by the invitations of the presidents of the countries to teach transformational values to people. We trained a lot of leaders around the world, over 5 million. But a trained leader has leadership skills, but a transformational leader has leadership values, good values. And so what we do in that setting is we teach values in small groups. We call them transformation tables. And it really works. There's something I really haven't even shared with you. I'm just starting to talk about this because it's just a new thought that I'm kind of incubating, and so I want to. So you get it first at Coffee with Kelly. How's that? I mean, literally, I've never spoken about this publicly, but I write a lot of self-help books. Books that you pick up and they help you to get better, improve yourself. So I'm all for self-help. But it's impossible to reach your potential with just self-help. And here's what I don't want you to miss, because this is huge. And the reason it's impossible for me to reach my potential if I'm just doing self-help is because I don't have no one else's perspective. And so all I have is what I know, and all I have is my perspective. And anybody that knows anything about personal development and growth and reaching your potential is that we have blind spots. I have blind spots. I have things in my life that I'm unaware of that keep me from really developing and growing. And this is why I think whether it's Coffee with Kelly or it's transformation tables, the only way that you can really reach your potential is to be around other people. It starts with self-help, but it doesn't end there. Once I make the decision to change my world, once I make a decision to really be disciplined and do the things that will help me be successful. Once I made that decision, now I need people to come around me and help me with my blind spots. In the laws of growth, I talk about the fact that you really can't fix what you're unaware of. And so I need people to speak into my life. And so when people tell me they say, well, I'm very self-aware, I always laugh, and I think that's a nice thing to say. It's quite stupid, but it's a very nice thing to say, because there's nobody self-aware. I'm not self-aware, you're not self-aware, you're not self-aware, nobody's self-aware. The only things that, the things that are blind spots that I don't see, the only way I can ever improve them is to have somebody like you help me, come alongside of me, and give me a perspective that I don't even have. Now, all of a sudden, you turn the light on for me. Now, all of a sudden, I'm aware. All of a sudden, now I say, oh, wow, didn't realize this. And the moment that I become aware, I wrote a book, if you'll remember, this is about 4 or 5 books back, called No Limits.
I was in that last collaboration.
Oh,
I remember that we were in Atlanta.
Okay, remember?
Yeah.
And we were doing the No Limits, and the book is composed of 3 parts on how to reach your potential. And the whole first part of the book is all about awareness. It's all about you have to be aware of of your weaknesses, and get a perspective of others. So here's what I think is so important, and this is what I don't want you to miss. When you're in the tables, when you have a table, when I have 6 or 7 people around here, I talk about there are 3 questions that every follower asks of a leader. And those 3 questions are, do you like me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Well, those 3 questions are best answered in small groups. And it's in that small group I think, well, Kelly, she really is, she's on my side, she's pulling for me, she likes me. And oh my gosh, I never saw it that way. We're talking about the same value, but she's talking about it from her perspective, and all of a sudden, I get an understanding of that value that I would have never, without Kelly, I wouldn't have that understanding. And the point that I'm making here is that we need others. I don't think it starts with others. I think improvement and growth starts with self. I think I have to make a decision. I want to improve my life. Kelly can't make that for me. You can't make that for me. Just like I can't make that for you. So it starts with self, but it doesn't end with self. But I see a lot of people, they never get inclusive with other people and never invite other people in their life and never let people speak into their life and never ask questions. And so therefore, their growth is stunted. They never are going to reach their potential. And what I love about Change Your World is it's all about the fact that you sit in a small group and you talk about these values and you share experiences, wins, losses, and all of a sudden you come out of that with a bigger than I could have ever achieved if I would have just read this book on my own, if I would have just looked at the values and studied them on my own. And I think that's the magic of the groups. So when people say, why should I start a group on the values? It's because if you start a group on values, I promise you'll learn perspectives of values that you'll never have if you just do it yourself. So, you can either read this book by itself and say, wow, that was a good book, that helped me, I marked some pages, or you can sit down and say, let's read this together, and then let's get us a group, and as you know, we have online, and everything's free. After you really pay for the book, the values assessment, everything is free. So I'm very passionate because now with the countries, we have Kelly well over probably close to 2.5 million people in small groups. Wow. And we're seeing incredible changes. And I could tell you story after story, but one real quick story is I was in Guatemala 2 weeks ago and I had about a 2.5-hour breakfast with the Attorney General of Guatemala, the country. And she was a very, very engaging leader. And so she's gone through small groups. She's had all of her departments go through small groups. She's put them in the prisons. And now they have the prisoners that have gone through the values training, when they would release them out of a halfway house, 80% of them within 6 months would be back. So it was, it's terrible. They release them, they come back. Now, since they've taken them through the Change Your World roundtables, they've released 169 prisoners, and not one has come back. And she said, John, this is life-changing. Wow. Not one's come back. And then what's beautiful is now those 160 plus prisoners, guess what they're doing now? The government now pays them to go into the prisons and teach the values tables. That is beautiful. And so they're very excited. So. And that's extreme. You're not going to go get a bunch of prisoners to be in your table, but you're going to go get some neighbors and people. And the value of growth is that you don't do it alone. And that's why I'm so glad you've done tables, you're starting tables, because that's the secret sauce is the fact that we do it in a small group. It is. And it's life-changing. As you know, you've done that. It absolutely is. And that's the law of multiplication. It's the multiplying effect when you see others that never believed they could facilitate a table. Oh, yeah. And, I'm watching it right now, John. People just really blossom as a leader, don't they?
It's beautiful. You must just look at the millions of people. I mean, do you realize how many people you have started to inspire in your life, and that multiplying effect? What does that feel like?
Well, the greatest fulfillment in life is adding value to people, honestly. When you see somebody you've helped and you see how they've improved and they've grown, it's like every time I see you, Callie, I just smile. I smile because I remember 7 years ago and I remember today. And really, you're not the same person.
Right.
You've grown and you develop. And so here's what I say. When you've helped a person reach their potential and you see them, it's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you say, wow, I had a not the full part, but I had a part in that. Yeah. And I think that we were born to be our brother or our sister's keeper. We really were. And I think that's where fulfillment is. And when we do that, I think that's the greatest fulfillment. So yeah, I'm very fulfilled. I'm also very humbled that I would be able to have a positive part in people's lives, really. Mm-hmm. And again, it started out small for me. I was just a pastor of a little country church. Mm-hmm. And I just said, I just want to add value to people. I just want to help people. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know when I was going to get to do it, but I just knew I wanted to do it. And so I started where I was. And that's the key. Start where you are, and you say, well, I don't know if I'm really capable, or I don't know if I can really pull this off. And let me just say, that's a very fair question. That's a question I've asked myself hundreds and hundreds of times. Mm. And let me tell you right now that once you jump in and start it, you'll have questions that all of a sudden begin to be answered, because it's in the action that we begin to find the answers. It's not in the, I'm going to wait till I have the answers before I take action. It's, I'm going to take action so I can find the answers. And without action, as you know, there are no answers. You just have to leap. Just leap. And when you talk about facilitating and practicing leadership, we now have, as you know, this values training in our iLead program for kids.
Yes.
And so the Secretary of Education in Guatemala, I was having a conversation with her, and she said two things that was really very significant. She said, within 3 weeks in the classroom, by the way, 1.5 million kids in Guatemala in the public school, in classrooms, right beside language or math or whatever, have this values training. And she said, the teachers tell me that they can see a difference in 3 weeks. In the third week in the classroom, they're already beginning to see the difference. And what are we doing? These kids are practicing leadership. They're facilitating. And so now, we're training future leaders for the country, because they're with their peers, helping them to lead them through a value. So it's really fun. It's really good.
It's amazing. Yeah, we have some tribe members. Michelle, she's going to start leading tables for youth with junior achievement, and get that going.
Yay, Michelle. Way to go, girl.
We're so proud of her.
Way to go. That's beautiful.
So John, if it's okay, I had some questions that some of the tribe wanted me to ask you.
Well, that's okay. Don't make them hard. Don't make them hard. Okay.
Not hard at all.
Just trust me. I'm an old man. I'll do my best.
So one of my friends who's in the tribe is Marcel Schwantes, and he comes out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He is a leadership coach and also a contributor for Inc. So he writes a lot of leadership articles on Inc. Great writer. His question was, I've heard the saying that your life is the small things repeated daily. Of all the things you've taught over the decades, John, what small things should we do habitually to be a better leader?
It's a great question. I can tell you, Marcel, write for Inc. magazine. It's a good magazine, by the way. First of all, let me just deal with the phrase small things. I like it, but it can be misleading. I think it's possible to have a habit of doing small things that have very little return. Mm. And I think it's also highly possible that you can do small things that have a big return. So small things, I like that phrase, but I have to ask myself, when I do the small things, where is the return? For example, I think prioritizing your life, I think I mean, anybody could sit down if they wanted to and say, okay, this is most important, and prioritize. It's not a hard thing, it's not a big thing, it's a small thing, but I think it has a high return. One of the things I teach is activity is not necessarily accomplishment. I know a lot of people, they're very, very active, but they really don't achieve a lot. But I think the small things, I think that every day adding value to people, in in fact, when I was having breakfast this morning, the lady that was waiting on us, it was a single mom, and so when it came time to give her the tip, I just, whatever the breakfast was, that's what the tip was, and she came back to the table and said, "Oh my," she said, "I think maybe you made a mistake. That was the price of the breakfast." And I said, "No, I didn't make a mistake." But I think that adding value intentionally to people every day it's not a big thing, but one of the things I teach, as you know, is consistency compounds. And I think that when you do small things that have return to them on a consistent basis, one day you wake up and say, wow, that was big. But it wasn't big in the beginning. And I think that's the reason I like the questions. I love the small things question. I would just say make sure that the small things that you do repeatedly as a habit are also things that have return to them. And so priorities, adding value to people, the discipline of every day I write. People ask me all the time, they'll say, well, I'd like to be a writer. And they're looking for something. They'll say, what do you suggest? I want to be a writer, and what would you suggest to help me be a writer? And I said, well, what I really suggest is that you start writing. And they'll look at me and say, what do you mean start writing? And well, start writing. Everything I've ever written, I had to start writing. It never wrote itself, And see, I know what happens is we're saying, well, I don't know what to write. And I said, I understand that. So just pick something that you want to write on and maybe say, I'm going to write, a page today, and write the page. And by the way, when I started writing, probably 80% of the time when I finished the page, I threw it away but it was okay. I was practicing. But you have to start. So it is the small things that make a big difference. But make sure they're the things that are going to give you the return. And the return means that this is something that's in my strength zone. This is something I'm passionate about. This is something I have an opportunity in, that type of a thing.
I remember when we were talking a couple years ago, and you were sharing how a lot of people ask you, or they'll see you speak at a conference or read your books, and when they get to talk to you, they'll say, John, I want to do what you do. And I love your response, because I think that is so powerful. Share with my tribe what you tell someone.
They'll say, well, I want to do what you do. And I say, okay. So let me ask you a question. Would you like to do what I did so you can do what I do? And what I found is, as you know this, Kelly, people, of course, they want to do what I do, but they don't want to do what I did. And by the way, you don't get to do what I do unless you did what I did. And it's the did that makes you successful. It's not the do. And what I tell people is if you don't go back and do the did, you're going to be in deep doo-doo. You're not going to get the do done if you haven't done the did. So we always want the. In fact, I think one of the things that I wish this is impossible. But if somebody said, what would be your greatest wish that you could share with people that would be the greatest encouragement to people? I know what I would wish. And again, I haven't shared this. I don't think I've ever shared this with anybody either. So we're doing some first here today.
We're getting some bombs dropped here.
It's this incredible coffee you've provided for me.
Caffeine.
It's amazing. It's so clear. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. It's just
That's John.
That's just incredible. This coffee, it's just making a world of difference here in my life. I think if I could do one thing, if I had one wish, I'll tell you what my wish would be. I wish my wish would be that you could have seen me 50 years ago. Because if you could have seen me 50 years ago, honestly, you would be greatly encouraged. Because now people see me where I am with all the success, and they think I'm really better than I am, and I'm not that good. I know I'm not, but they think I'm better than I am. But if you'd have seen me in the beginning, people thought I was worse than I was. And in the beginning, I wanted to, every once in a while I wanted to raise my hand and say, I know I didn't do that very well, but I'm really not that bad. I'm a little bit better than that. You just saw, you saw it and it didn't turn out the way I wanted to turn out, but I'm a little bit better than that. So in the beginning, I was wanting to raise my hand and say I'm a little better than what you think I am. And then I want to raise my hand and I want to tell people all the time, I'm not as good as you think I am. And it's not being humble, it's factual. And I think what I wish for people is, I wish there was a way you could go back and you could see me. I wish you could hear me speak when I was in my 20s, because it wouldn't impress you at all. In fact, you'd just say, he really needs help. He's not there. I wish that you could have maybe read something I wrote in the beginning. It took me 6 books. I remember very well, I was at a hotel in Houston. I was trying to write my 7th book, The Winning Attitude. And I started writing one evening, and all of a sudden I realized I had it. And I had a mentor named Les Stobie. I called him on the phone, very excited. I said, Les, let me read something to you. And I read it to him, and I'll remember the joy from his voice. He said, John, you got it. You got it. Today, you learned how to write. Well, it took me 6 books. 6 books. Yeah. And so the reason I'm saying that to you is, I think sometimes, I have a saying that we're never good the first time.
That's right.
And we're not. But you do it the first time so that you can have a second time, so you can learn from what you did the first time, so that you can do it a third time, so you can learn. And I think we overestimate the start and we underestimate the process. And so, stay in there, stay in the game, and keep learning, keep dealing with I could have done this better, and how could I, and keep improving, and you'll get there. You'll get there. It takes time, but success is not easy. It's all uphill. And people that are successful aren't people that are more brilliant than other people. People that are successful, Kelly, are more persistent and consistently stay in the game and say, I'm still working on myself. I'm getting better.
Absolutely. And we both know some very successful people that aren't the happiest in life.
Oh my, yeah. A lot of successful people, Kelly, that aren't, because people that are successful, they're wrapped up in themselves. Right. And this is my career. This is how much money I make. And this is my car, and this was my vacation. This is my home. And by the way, I want you to be successful. I really do. But you're going to find that you no amount of money or no amount of cars or stuff in your life will ever bring you true fulfillment. And I know a lot of unhappy, you do too, a lot of unhappy, successful people. But significance is different. Significance is all about others. That's why I love about you, Kelly. You have my DNA in you. You understand that it's all about the people that have coffee with you every week. It's all about that. And so you've gotten over yourself, and now you're living to improve them and add value to them. I have met a lot of unhappy, successful people of significance. I've never met an unhappy person that gave their life for others to add value to others. And I think that's pretty amazing too. Mm-hmm. Really amazing.
Absolutely. That's what really sparked my transformation, was that meal you granted me.
Yeah.
You changed my life.
Yeah.
I tell my tribe all the time the significance you've played in my life and helped me understand where I was chasing success for 21 years and the money, and not that the money's bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got to pay our bills, but you're the one that said, Kelly, once you taste significance, you will never need success again. That was the catalyst.
That's right. Once you've tasted significance, success can't satisfy after. My goal for you, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love about Change Your World. This is a significance book. This isn't a success book. This is all about adding value to others. And here's what I know. You read this book and you practice it, you get in a small group of values and you start leading and facilitating a group of small values. I'm here to tell you, it'll change your life. It will, change your world. What's funny about Change Your World is, honestly, it's all about change your life. And when you start to change your world and help, all of a sudden you find yourself changed. And when we go on these trips, as you've been with me, like to Paraguay, I tell my coaches all the time, I know you came down to help people and you will help them and you'll help them immensely. But by the time the 3 or 4 days are over, you get back on the plane to go home. Somewhere on that ride, you're going to realize all of a sudden, I gave a lot, worked hard, served, loved every moment of it, added value to people, and then you're going to be on that plane, and somewhere on that trip, you're going to all of a sudden realize, you know what? I got more help than what I helped. I received more. I went to give, but I think I've received more than I gave. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the way it is in a significant life, always.
Absolutely. So, tradition on Coffee with Kelly is we like to have fun, John.
Okay.
We like to have fun.
Okay.
And so I got a couple lightning round questions, if I can ask, that we're just curious about.
Yeah.
So, John, what is something most people don't know about you?
That I play the piano.
You play the piano?
Yeah.
I did not know this about you.
In fact, I used to give piano lessons. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, no, well, that's what you asked me to give you something.
Well, there we go.
Know about it. But now I'm not any good anymore. I mean, I when I say I play the piano, I really don't. Every once in a while, if I see a piano, I'll sit down and play a little bit. But I even wrote a couple songs. So yeah.
Wow.
But I wasn't that good. I played the piano, but it wasn't really my natural strengths. So I mean, but yeah, I played the piano.
All right. So on the song theme, if you were to say you have a dance move that represents you, what would it be, John? What's your dance move?
Well, you've been with me when I do my dance moves. Remember our walkathon?
What's your favorite one, though?
My favorite one is...
Got any music in here?
My favorite dance move is whatever is playing, I'm going to dance to it. Now, you have to understand, I'm not really a good dancer at all, but I think, but I have fun dancing, and I have a theory about dancing, and it's very simple. If you're worried about how good you are, you're not a good dancer. Mm-hmm. But if you just get out there and whatever the music is, and so I would say my favorite dance move is what you play it and I dance. And I live in the moment. So so my favorite dance move is what you give me the music and I'm dancing to that music.
Do we have any music that we can like have some fun with in here? Just curious because
you're not going to be happy to see a dance move, are you?
You can do a chair dance.
Huh?
You can do it in your chair.
Oh, I can do it. Yeah. Well, I mean, if they can't get the music.
Go for it, John.
Oh, now can they hear this?
Yes, they can hear this. Now you know you're at Coffee with... See, they're dancing with you, John.
See, I'm a swimmer.
There we go.
See, I'm a swimmer. So this is my swim dance right here. And what's great is you go.
There you go. They dance with you, John. There you go. See? He's good.
I mean, there's so many ways. You just swim away. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that good? See, how's that?
Guys, that
what do you think of that?
That was amazing. So, John, we have something special for you that I'm really proud to give you.
Okay.
And Brian, you know Brian.
Oh, yeah. Brian's the reason you're so successful.
That's right. I guess. So, John.
Yes.
And Tribe, I want you to see this because they haven't seen this yet. John, so March 23rd of 2020, Coffee with Kelly began, and it was to spark hope and transformation within our world during a dark time.
This is lovely.
And these beautiful people, these are the people that came together throughout the year to encourage each other.
Oh my
and
God.
Every leadership lesson on Monday, the word that we have used for over 110 Coffee with Kelly shows now, is inside here.
You're kidding.
So
I love that.
The tribe made this for you. And all of the words that have influenced what we have accomplished over the past year because of what you taught me and I brought to them is inside of here. And
this
it represents
is lovely.
Change Your World. So John, we wanted you to have something significant that, what do you give John C. Maxwell? I mean, come on.
Oh, this is beautiful because this is us. This is what you do. This is what you've given me is your significance in your life with this. Have they seen this?
They haven't seen it live, but they've seen it in a photo.
Well, see, they can't see it from there. You got to take it up closer to the screen so they can see it. This is fantastic. Yeah. Put it right, wherever.
You see it?
I don't know if that helps.
Higher? There you go. So
is
there
that
you
right
go.
there?
Yeah.
Now go in on that for a moment. That is, it's a picture of the world.
There you go.
And it's Coffee with Kelly.
Yep.
And then the reason I wanted you to do that close is so they can see all the different topics you've discussed.
Right.
Because that's what I love in there, Kelly.
Yeah.
That is going, yeah. I'll have to have a special place. I'm trying to think if I'm going to stick it. I may put it in my job. I may put it in my office. I may put it in the John Maxwell Leadership Center. But that's got to go somewhere where people can see it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I
thank the tribe.
Thank you for that gift. Thank you. That's a wonderful. Really, that's a wonderful. And I love the personal gifts. Those are the best gifts.
I agree.
So thank you. That's good.
And so, John, we just thank you.
Do I get to keep the coffee mug too?
Absolutely. That we call it the hug in a mug.
The hug in a mug?
It's a hug in a mug.
I love this. It's leadership caffeine.
That's right.
That's right. One of the things I love about Kelly, you're very creative.
Have fun with it.
No, you're very creative, and in your creativity, you do have fun. I mean, it's kind of like if we're going to create, let's laugh and smile a little bit with it. And I've watched you. In fact, she gave me a whole bunch of her quotes, and I put them in my iPhone. Some, not all of her quotes. They weren't all that good, Kelly, but her good ones. I put him. I got him in here, and I have your name and with them and the whole deal. But you had a lot of good ones. You had a lot of good ones. So thanks.
So I just want to say thank you for giving us your time. I told everyone this is a moment for Coffee with Kelly that special.
Thanks for inviting me. And for all of you that are with her, Kelly, you know the value that she brings to you every week. I mean, that's why you have Coffee with Kelly. I mean, she adds value to you and makes a difference. And I know you tell her. I know that you communicate with her and let her know how important it is. But I just want to know that don't become the end of her conversation. It's not only, it is for you, but it is for you to then share with others. And be a river, let it pass through you, not a reservoir. Don't just hold it, and just multiply all the great teachings and principles that she has, and be little legs to her legacy. Be little, Kelly's going around and turn. In this day and age we live, it's easy to curse the darkness, but don't do that. Turn on the light. Turn on the light, and Change Your World helps you turn on the light. Change Your World is a light switch, and when you walk into somebody's dark time of their life and you flip it on, all of a sudden, you give them a whole new perspective. So thanks for having me, and thanks for being with me. I love you. I love you.
I love you, John.
Love you too.
Thank you for believing in me.
Oh, I believe in you. I did the first day, but you've just endorsed that belief with your life, and that's what's beautiful.
I love all of you. Thank you for being here for this moment. I see you all there. They're waving to us, John. They're so fulfilled. And I know that just you have poured into them like no other day. So
Well, I've loved it. I love you through Kelly. Blessings.
Thank you all. Thanks for coming to Coffee with Kelly. We will be back on Monday. Our word of the day is reflect. And we're going to talk about all the lessons we learned from John today. So we'll see you on Monday. God bless you all. Take care.